Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Welcome back to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with your host, Bill Stierle. And Bill, I think we should address the elephant in the room, or maybe the virus in the room, as the case may be, because I think that's what's on everybody's minds right now.
You know, Tom, when a health crisis or pandemic like this shows up in our world, it really affects a certain group of needs inside the listener. And if the speaker does not do a good job, what happens is there's two emotions that show up that really mess up truth. And the two emotions are doubt and skepticism, because those two emotions are very custom designed inside the human body, those molecules of emotion, to really tell us our body about when we feel doubtful, our need for truth isn't met. And when we feel skeptical, our need for trust isn't met. See, truth and trust become casualties if the messenger doesn't and is not really aware that that's what's taking place, because truth and trust have a direct wire to the need for certainty, the need for protection, the need for safety. And all of a sudden, if you get those five things, truth can be hijacked and moved around very easily. And then all of a sudden, the person's believing the wrong thing because they need relief from the doubt and skepticism. And they would rather blame, judge, criticize somebody rather than face that this person that's messaging is hijacking them. And so we have a lot of problems that we could talk about here in this place.
We do have a lot of problems. I agree, because like you said, there's not just the doubt and skepticism. There's, the need for safety. There's the need for certainty that I'm not going to get ill or that my family is going to be safe. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, there's been a run on, staples at places like Costco and Sam's Club for things even including toilet paper. Which is
fascinating.
Interesting. I mean, first it was hand sanitizer was gone from all the shelves everywhere.
Yeah, instantly. Mm-hmm.
Then it's moved into, oh my gosh, we need to have a 2-week supply of food at the house.
Yep.
But I have other concerns too, just as I would say as a business person, economically, as to what's happening, because I'm seeing the fear causing more potential damage than the virus itself.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned fear, because it's anxious, the sequence of future-oriented thinking. When human beings start to think about the future, it's worried, anxious, nervous, scared. See how it's going up? When I start thinking about the future of an unknown thing, so it's worried, anxious, nervous, scared, fearful, terrified. Now, when you get somebody in fearful and terrified, they start to click to the beliefs that they already have established in their brain. And then they don't move off that belief, even though the person can help them, they can't move off of the belief. So what that means then is that in for the president is that the belief structure has been hijacked with the dopamine boosting that they've done over time, called this is fake news, and therefore the need for trust can only be met in one location, and all there has to be is one message, and the person has to include that into their belief structure and not question the truth of that. The Democrats caused the coronavirus to bring down Trump's presidency. And for somebody to hold that belief solid, it's a head shaker because it's a worldwide thing.
It really is shocking, Bill. And I just want to
Yes.
emphasize for our listeners here, I want to make it clear, Bill didn't just make that one up as an example of a belief somebody could have. If you haven't seen it, very real, it's a very real thing that's happened. And I saw the article in a video of a Trump supporter being asked a question at a Trump rally about the virus. And they said, absolutely, that they believe that the coronavirus is a hoax that was started by the Democrats to take down Trump. And that's just so through the looking glass to me. I mean, I'm just like, are you kidding me?
See, a belief or a bias or a fallacy that a person has isn't a wrong thing as much as it satisfies certainty. I don't have to rethink something once I believe something. If I believe something, I don't have to rethink it. I don't have to make my brain deal with the gray areas of being an adult. I don't. All I got to do is put my elbow on a belief and go no, the world is this way. This is the way the world was. My mom said it this way. My dad said it this way. This is the way we think in our city. This is the way our state is. This is the way Republicans think. Do it on the other side. This is the way Democrats think. See, the challenge is adult thinking has got to be one that tolerates the gray areas, that doesn't know things and is okay with that. Instead of, if I don't know something, I feel, here it comes, worried, anxious, nervous, scared, fearful, terrified. Because if I don't know something, I can move up to the scale. Tom, all I got to do is say a well-placed dopamine-laden sentence. Gosh, imagine what it would be like, if your neighbor had flown through Hong Kong and then you shook their hand, a month ago, but because the Chinese didn't, disclose it, therefore you might have the virus. It's like, oh my gosh, it's really, really, really tough because the mind looks to overprotect. It looks for safety narratives first. So a safety narrative is, I need food for 2 weeks. A safety narrative is, I want my stuff. Well, I'm going to pay for my stuff. Well, where's my stuff? It's a store. It's not in my cabinet. It's a store. Well, they might not let us out. Look what China's doing. China is getting the people to stay in. They're staying in. That's what they're doing. Gosh, what happens if the United States does that? Well, there's all kinds of problems, for us in the United States to go that way. First off, the National Guard would need to be somewhere between 2 to 4 times bigger. I don't know if that's true, but I am making something up, right? Oh, then the military would need to get engaged. Of course, there are plenty of military folks that can lock down streets.
Sure.
Are we going there? Of course, Americans are not used to losing freedoms like that.
No,
We're just
and
not.
now, I mean, Italy is the latest country, I think the second
right.
biggest country impacted by the virus. And they
That's
made
right.
the decision, they've declared their entire country a hot zone
They
for
did.
the coronavirus, and they have ordered all of their citizens to stay home. It's
Right.
just talk about bringing life to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that is more scary than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
economic impact, I mean, is going to be immeasurable if we really do this. And I don't know, I mean, some of my biases and beliefs probably are going to come out here as we talk about this, but
Well done. That's the way it works, Tom. That's what makes this conversation interesting. That's what makes purchasing truth interesting is because our biases get to come out and get it to be explored, not to be marginalized. See, you get to look at your own navel, and get the lint out of it. If you want to just have a funny metaphor for what a bias is, you know, hey, it just happens to be lint in your navel.
right.
Just dig it out of there. Call it a day. Wash your navel and go like you have a clean navel. That bias and that belief has got to change. It cannot stay stable because you got to like move it. It's like trying to put technology back in the box into a box right now and control that. You ain't doing it. It's like it's not going. Technology changes. There's going to be a new iPhone next year, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
so
for me, from my perspective as a business person who travels a lot and goes to conferences and things like
right.
this, I'm saying, oh my gosh, they canceled South by Southwest. Really? That's 400,000 people
Yep.
and $1.6 billion of lost economic revenue for the city
City.
of Austin, Texas, and all the related businesses there. And that doesn't even include the airlines and things like that.
Right. Right.
It is just unbelievable. I was at a conference just, days before we're recording this that had sold
Yes.
1,900 paid tickets. I was a sponsor of the event. I, had a booth there to engage with people, and a little over 1,000 showed up, mostly because of the fear of
Stuff.
the virus. And I'm like, wow. I mean, my attitude has been, yep, the virus is out there. It is serious. Everybody needs to, take personal hygiene more seriously, wash our hands a lot. And if you're sick, be wise and don't travel.
Yeah.
But we can't, I've been feeling we can't, as a country, as a people, just cocoon ourselves away and, take a break from life for a month and hope this thing goes away. I've never been really a believer that hope is a very good strategy for anything.
No. No.
It's personal responsibility, take action. But, hey, I mean, we need to keep doing business. I also
Yeah.
have done a little research and found that children, by and large, are not really getting this virus.
Yeah. Their immune
That's
system's higher.
much bigger impact to aging populations and people that already have other health conditions and maybe
Right.
compromised immune systems certainly
That's
understand
right.
that.
Yes.
So, I've really been, we have even family travel planned in a few weeks for, a personal family event, like it's a friend's bat mitzvah, and going back to New York for that. And a bunch of us were having a text string saying, are you all still going to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to go. I'm
Yeah.
planning on going. I mean, unless they shut the airlines down and don't let us go. I mean, why wouldn't we go? And anyway, this great debate happening
Right.
of the family who's throwing this bat mitzvah, party, wondering, should they call it off?
So the sequence is again worried, anxious, nervous, scared, fearful, terrified. So there's these six words, and these are called future-oriented emotions. I am worried because of something in the future. I'm anxious about something in the future. So and there's also emotions that tell us that we're having thoughts about the past. Um, uh, Helpless, hopeless, overwhelmed, depressed are things and thoughts that are coming from the past. So the accumulation of those thoughts, activate the depression part of it, and there's a chemistry that goes with it, and there's medications for it, and blah blah blah. There's medications for the emotion, not for the thought structure. So you're
Right.
medicating the cell instead of cleaning out the closet, cleaning out the thought closet, right? So with this narrative, the other five, the other 5, 6 words on the other side, so you would like certainty. So you really need some trust. So we're waiting to hear the truth about this virus. You see what happens? So we really want to be safe. We really would like to connect, but those 4 other needs are in the way of us connecting. And so anytime you're in the debate, start bringing out your needs words and say, well, what would certainty look like to you? What would trust look like to you? What would safety look like to you? What would reassurance look like to you? There's another need there. And the person that's listening, the family member that's listening, will start backing off their emotions and move back into their rational mind and go like, well, I guess safety would look like us watching the numbers up to the date. And if we can't get safety, we don't go in the last minute. Oh, that's a good way to think about safety. In other words, let the answer come to you, because you don't need anxious, worried, nor nervous, scared for a month.
Right.
You don't need any of those chemicals until the day of. And so you're watching it so that you're actually stabilizing your own thought in the face of what's being reported. Of course, it doesn't help if you get countering messages, which is a little bit of the trouble we're doing. Is it doesn't look like that there's any adults in charge. And
boy, that's for sure.
And the problem is, an adult is somebody that calms a child's mind about something they're fearful about in the future. That's what it does. That's what an adult mind does. Because, Tom, you and I have both said things to our children that we wish we didn't tell them. It was beyond their ability to comprehend, their ability to process fully, the ability to discuss as an adult. And their poor little black and white mind went, oh my gosh, that means that. And they made up an entire meaning about it. And you're going like, oh my God, I can't believe I just walked into that bear trap.
I hate self-inflicted wounds like that, but it does
Totally.
happen. Well,
does happen.
So we've got these really interesting and opposing forces going on right now, where you have the 24-hour news media cycle that is trying to make everything more sensational. It seems they need fuel to fill their 24 hours of airtime, and they keep putting a bigger and bigger microscope on any little aspect of this and proportionalizing it to be really big, which I personally feel is not very helpful.
Right.
And then you've got the president, on the other hand, who is trying to market his way out of this crisis with, his salesmanship and no facts. And in fact, very often what he says is very obviously not in alignment with the truth.
Yes.
And neither one of those things is very helpful.
Yes.
And I think it leaves it feeds into the it feeds into the doubt and skepticism, really, of the American people, does it not?
It does. It feeds into the doubt and skepticism, which allows him to keep his, and even gain some people that, well, I don't have truth and trust. They don't say this logically. I feel doubtful and skeptical. Maybe I don't want to vote for someone new. Maybe I want to take the person that's already there, especially if in 3 months from now he gets to play I told you so card.
Because it went away on its own.
Well, it went away because well-meaning people down the line took all these preventative measures And because we took all these preventative measures, it went away. We met the need for safety. We met the need for protection. And you don't want your commander in chief telling everybody things are okay too soon. You want to let an adult mind lets the facts play in a way that gives the adult nation something to follow. The child messaging of, I'm the daddy in charge, believe me. Oh, Dad, you are. Oh,
Well, then what do you make of the fact that the president put Mike Pence, in air quotes here in the video, in charge of the coronavirus response for the administration? If he's the daddy in charge and he wants to be the hero, would he do that?
Well, putting him in charge gives him a lot of cover, because one of the things that Pence has been really good at is reducing the wreckage that he does on his side. He's the parent, the codependent parent that says, don't look over there. Yeah, well, that's just your father. Yeah, your father had a little too much to drink tonight. Your father still loves you. Your father's really a good person.
Mm.
It's a pleasure working with him because he's really a good person. It's like, oh my gosh, who are we talking about here? And whose evidence are you picking to call him a good person? Well, because he said he was going to fight for the farmers. That makes him a good person because you're a farmer. It's like, is that really happening? Now, the thing that the child does, even in an abusive household, is look up at the parent and saying, well, there must be something that I did that was wrong in order for me to get beaten like this. There must be something that really, this is the way that dads connect to their daughters. If you want to get everybody to squeam a little bit on the thing, it's like the worst belief sentence ever. Regrettably, the way the brain works is it fabricates something to make this person that we've invested in already still good, right, holy, righteous. They're still invested in that mindset. And it's very, 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 very difficult because they're, being hijacked in that direction.
Because we have maybe sunk beliefs or sunk costs in that person.
Sunk costs. We've created the need for value. We voted for this person. This person made us feel good because we really liked watching him when he was on that Apprentice show, when he fired people, because he looked like the serious father that I never got to see at the office. That this is what my dad must have did there. This is kind of the way my dad was. He was like, I'm in charge kind of guy. And he reminds me of my dad,
Well,
so
I was wondering if putting Pence in charge gives the president an off-ramp, a scapegoat in the future if it doesn't go well. Because I still think the president is likely to dump Pence and try and insert Nikki Haley as a VP candidate to try to win over women in November. And it's either he's going to be stuck with Pence because, he does a great job here. Of course, I don't really see that happening because the president will take credit for anything Pence does.
That's correct. He will.
But it gives
so,
him an off-ramp, right?
Yeah. And so here's a good purchasing truth moment. Oh my gosh. Pence walks into the rat trap so easy. I mean, it's like really, really crazy. What are some steps you're doing to, prevent, the virus? He goes, well, we're going to make the tests available for people to come in and do the survey. Next question. Will insurance pay for the test? Yes, insurance will pay for these things. He's saying it apprehensively, but he's still saying yes.
Yeah.
The next question is, what about the uninsured? How are they going to be covered?
Wow.
Now, all of a sudden,
Walked
he is
right into that.
on the plank, man. And so immediately him and the team start walking. Wait a minute. How are you going, all the Americans that are not insured, how are they going to know or not know whether or not they have the virus or not? Wouldn't that prevent the spread if they know so that we can contain it? How's that going to be paid for? If I was on the Bernie campaign right now, that loop would be made into a commercial and start pounding Trump and Pence right now about universal health care,
Did that
about
happen
Medicare
yet?
for.
Did those questions get asked of
Yeah,
them? I didn't
yeah.
see that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's out there. It's
Oh my
out there.
goodness.
It's video out there. It is the ultimate viral video for Medicare for all. Everyone gets tested, nobody pays, and change the tax laws in order to cover that. It is the ultimate. It is the ultimate.
Wow.
It is the winning formula. Even Joe Biden, if Joe Biden gets there, even Joe Biden could still use it. Although he has the unique challenge on his side, he doesn't want to break the machine of insurance either.
Right.
So he's a little weaker there, but Bernie could just take Pence's and Trump's and the system's legs out right now, because see, the insurance company is not helping the nation. They're not this system doesn't help us. This system does not protect us.
Well, and you make it, he would make it more about, all the issues of, well, you'd hit all the hot buttons of safety and certainty, and
Safety.
you'd hit everybody's, need of the greater good, that, if we're going to stop a
protection.
virus, we have to treat everyone.
Everyone.
We can't just treat those that
treat
can
the
pay
ones
for
that
it.
can pay for it.
Mm.
And the insurance company thinks. Now, if you think about how unconscious they are, because the first thing I would have done as an adult, if I were them, they still could do it right now and save their butts.
You mean
But
the administration?
the administration and
Okay.
the insurance company, by the way.
Okay.
The insurance companies and the big pharma, they're like totally asleep at the wheel here, because what they needed to say as a part of their narrative to meet the need for certainty and trust is saying, oh my gosh, we do not want to get caught in that question.
Right.
They should have ponied up to pay for a test for every American. All of these tests will be paid. And they needed to put it in the bill, and they needed to pay for it. You see what I mean? It's like they needed, it would have been their insurance policy. This is so funny for me to even say it. It's their insurance policy to keep the current status of the medical insurance healthcare industry complex in place. They blew it.
And it would have been brilliant when you think about it. It would have been an absolutely brilliant strategy, because an insurance company could come out and say, we will pay for tests for everyone.
That's right.
That comes to us that
And
needs a
our
test.
Insurance.
Because guess what? There aren't even enough tests. They wouldn't have to pay anything because there's no tests to pay for. That would shine a light more on the industry producing the tests and are unable to produce enough quantity of tests.
Right.
Take the focus off of it. Well, insurance isn't the problem. right?
Right.
Oh my
Right.
gosh,
Right.
it'd be
Right.
brilliant. And
Right.
of course, if you listen to the president, everybody who needs a test is going to get a test, and it's a beautiful test. Let me tell you, as if it matters if a test is pretty looking. I
Pretty
mean,
looking.
give
But
me a break.
see, that's adult child looking. That's a child distraction and diversion tactic. That's what a dad or a mom says. Gosh, it's going to be beautiful when we get to Disneyland. Yeah, but I don't want to go. It's going to be so beautiful to get to Disneyland. Meanwhile, the child doesn't want to go to Disneyland because they're missing their
Oh,
best friend's birthday party. It doesn't matter how good, beautiful it is. It's like, I'm scared to go because I'm going to miss
wow.
connection, or
Actually,
I
by the
okay.
way, just to
Yes.
throw again one of my bias back in, my wife and I actually been talking about maybe we should go to Disneyland now because there's not going to be any lines. We can go on every ride in a day. We just bring, our Purell and wash our hands and protect ourselves, and fine, let's go. Let's go, and there are fewer people, not tons of people. So seriously, we've actually been having this conversation. The girls have
Take
been wanting to
advantage of
go.
the
Maybe we
right,
go.
right.
And if we get a discounted ticket at some point because they're trying to get people to go, so much the
Go.
better, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
this is life according to Tom Hazard. But anyway,
There is, but that's see, your need for certainty and trust and safety is higher because you're concentrating on the 1, 3, 4% or whatever number you're concentrating on is the low number. You're concentrating on the 90 whatever percent that the likeliness of not getting it, and that's
yeah,
the good part about it is you're concentrating on what the need is, right? And
yeah,
and we what is the long-term impact of the coronavirus on someone's health if they do contract it? Is it just another virus that their immune system has built their immunity up above, and it doesn't affect anything else that happens in the rest of your life, just like every other pesky little virus that you've
yeah.
gotten,
I
including
actually think
the
if
immune
you,
shots?
I think if you actually get it and recover from it, you have the best immunity over any vaccine they will create a year from now or whatever. No
Right.
question. Although I will admit, I have never ever been a fan of taking a vacation on a cruise ship. I'll just tell you, I would not take the opportunity to go on a cruise ship. I think they are floating petri dishes, and that was before coronavirus. That was just with norovirus. It's like I didn't think I was going to die on a cruise ship. I just didn't want to go float around, be
Yeah.
seasick, and vomit for a week because I had
Oh my God, that's
norovirus.
funny. That's right.
So
That's right.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's the last place I want to go on vacation. So take that for what it's
You
worth.
do have a bias, Tom. Yes. About cruise ship.
I
And
will admit it.
the belief around safety is really valuable. The belief around safety, and yes, the cruise industry and the travel industry has a bit of work to do regarding, the clean ship, the clean cabin, the clean hotel room, the clean, whatever bathrooms, things. It's like there's going to be this next, upgrade, this next step of showing how clean the bathroom is, how clean the, whatever. You see what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So
Agreed.
there is a little bit of that edge that's taking place. So, one of the things that I know that, as we're, talking about the truth and purchasing truth in the virus, it's really about how do we as human beings create not rose-colored glasses, but to create truth around what is our um, beliefs around safety and certainty. Tom, you both and I know that we're on a planet and it could get hit by a comet, an asteroid, and there could be some problems that would come from that.
Oh yes.
That would then cause a whole set of problems that would then come from that. So we don't, it'll be too late before we get to the winter ski store to buy our ski jackets that we don't have to endure a few more months as the temperature of the planet plummets. I mean, I'm making something up, but it's just too late before, that
Right.
takes place.
Yeah.
Anyways, So, let alone, a year from now when we still have to be in those parkas, right?
Yeah.
And there's no food around, so it's like, well, at least we got another few more months in, it's whatever, So, but our brain tolerates that level of certainty. It tolerates that most likely in our lifetime, we're not going to see a catastrophic asteroid. Why? Because the last one hit at the end of the dinosaurs that was that catastrophic.
Yeah, millions of years ago, right?
Millions of years ago. So, yeah, but have there been other rocks that have been pretty big that caused a problem? Yeah, there have. And that's one of the biggest challenges that we face as human beings is we still have to tolerate the fragile certainty that we create for ourselves. And we pick whatever to create that certainty. And, if somebody had a traumatic experience, their certainty with that element is not true anymore. They don't have certainty that they can go to the bank because that one time 3 years ago when my mom got robbed at a bank in Florida, or whatever, 20 years ago, right? Yeah. So, they have no certainty in that. They have to change. We choose to change our habit, to deal with the certainty that has changed. So the next time I think, Tom, we could talk about is, how do we deal with these messages that come to us and how our brain has been hacked in a way with these small little micro messages that then get hijacked, whether it's a bias or fallacy, and how to work to shift those, like, what we're doing right now on this call, on this podcast. We're trying to get people to really settle on, what does safety look like for me? What does certainty look like me in face of the virus? And we're looking to reestablish that and how to talk to our kids about what safety and certainty looks like.
Yeah, that's coming up too, isn't it? The kids are asking questions.
They are. My son was, can we get tested? I'm going like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Anyways, more to come.
Bill. That was great. I enjoyed that, and I look forward to next time.
Me too. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.